Today on Will Bake for Food, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious pumpkin spice cheesecake.
Only food for me. Food.
Welcome back to Will Bake for Food. Today we're going to make a delicious pumpkin cheesecake with a Gingersnap Crust. It has been requested several times at holiday gatherings here in Cincinnati when I've gone to other people's houses and they say bring something. So I'm going to show you today how to make it. You can find a list of the instructions and all of the detailed ingredients in my Will Bake for Food blog. I'll make sure that that link is below. Now let's get started with the crust. The very first thing we have to do is prepare the pan. So a cheesecake requires a water bath. Then on the outside of my springform pan, I've layered 2 layers of aluminum foil so that the water can't get in. We'll go through that process a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you have to prepare your pan first. Now, the next thing, in your food processor, you have to process your ginger snaps. Ginger snaps are very hard, so you can put them in a plastic bag and pound them if you really need aggression to get out. But if you have a food processor, I use my Ninja, and this is a whole box. It's 13 ounces, so unless you just want to eat like 5 of them, that's an ounce. Then just put the whole box in, and the little bit extra won't be that big a deal when it comes to the crust. So I'm putting all of my ginger snap crumbs in here. This took about 35 pulses. I've got 2 tablespoons of brown sugar that I'm gonna whisk in just to kind of get it all combined. These have molasses in them and they're a little bit bitter, so we need a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of kosher salt in here as well. Get that out of the way. And I've got 6 tablespoons of butter that I've melted and kind of let cool after I melted it. So I'm gonna pour that over. Get that in there. And mix. Some recipes for this also call for sliced up or ground up pecans or some sort of nut, hazelnut, pecan, something like that, to make it a little bit more nutty. I don't have any today, and I've made it both ways, and it's completely fine without them, so I'm skipping that step for today. Pour all of your crumbs into your springform pan, and then with your hands that are clean, of course, kind of press it into the bottom and then a little up the sides. Okay, so I have my ginger snaps and mixture pressed into the springform pan. Now there are definitely 2 schools of thought with this. One is to chill this for about 30 minutes in the refrigerator, or you can par bake it in the oven. I have found most success with par baking it, so I'm gonna put it in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes just to let it bake and get started to come together. And then we'll let it cool while we make the filling. I've got 3 sticks of cream cheese, 8-ounce cream cheese that has been at room temperature, and so we're gonna cream that with our sugar, just like if you were making a cookie. Now the reason for room temperature cream cheese is if it's not room temperature and it's too cold, once you get all the other ingredients with the liquid in there, it'll separate. So you want to make sure that your cream cheese is very pliable and it can become real fluffy real fast, okay? So I've got my mixer on low speed, and I'm gonna put in my granulated sugar, let that kind of cream together. Wipe down your paddle. Starting to get smooth. Okay, now the next thing we put in is our pumpkin puree. Now, I have learned that not all pumpkin purees are made equally. And what I mean that is some of them have more water content than others. So if you open your pumpkin puree and over a bowl, you can turn it and it comes out, then it is too watery and you need to put it through some sort of draining, like cheesecloth or something like that, or a can press to get all the water out of it. So this one is not like that, because when I turn it over, it does not pour out. So we're gonna put this straight into our cream cheese and sugar mixture and mix on low speed. Okay, that's starting to come together. So now I have prepped my eggs. They're at room temperature, and I have 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk because you need a little extra fat for this. So we're gonna put them in one at a time. Just turn the mixture off, one at a time, and mix. All right, so for this recipe, you need a little bit of acidity and tang to balance out all of the bland flavors so far. So we gotta put a 1/4 cup of sour cream in. I've learned doing this a few times that to keep the cake from cracking tremendously, I mean it may still crack, but to keep it from cracking tremendously is to avoid putting a lot of air in here. So everything is very slow and, you know, maybe pulse to get the eggs broken up a little bit more, but everything tends to be slow so you don't put too much air into the mixture. Due to a little bit of a technical difficulty, I didn't get to explain the rest of the filling. So what you have to do after you've got your wet ingredients together is put in your dry ingredients, which are 2 tablespoons of flour. You put that into the mixture, mix it up as well, and then all of your spices, cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, and my special addition to this cheesecake is cumin. I'll make sure that all those ingredient quantities are listed in the recipe. And then a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, so before you put it in the oven, make sure that you have your roasting pan available, and I boiled some water. So I've got my par-baked crust here, and I'm pouring my filling into my par-baked crust. The reason why you had to have your aluminum foil over is so that you can pour your boiling water into the pan so that it surrounds the springform pan. And you want it to come up the sides about 1 inch. 1/2 inch. Yeah. Why do we use a water bath, you ask? Evens out the heat inside the oven. So I'm gonna stick this into my 350-degree oven for about an hour. Our cheesecake has been in the oven for 1 hour and 15 minutes exactly. I upped the degrees of the oven by about 10 degrees just to make sure that the heat stayed. My oven's a little weird like that, but I wanna show you how you know it's done is when you jiggle the pan, the outside edges are kind of set, and then the center is a little gooey. That means our cheesecake is done. Okay, I removed my cheesecake from my water bath and let it cool for about 15 to 20 minutes or so. And so what I'm gonna do now is we have to let it chill. Here's a tip. I say that do this at night so that you can have cheesecake for breakfast because it needs to chill for a minimum of 4 hours, and probably overnight is the easiest thing to do. So we're gonna cover this with wrap, put it in the fridge, and I've only peeled back this aluminum foil because what we'll end up getting here is a little bit of a trivet when we sit it in the refrigerator because this pan's still pretty warm, but we want to start chilling this and quit cooking it as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna cover this with plastic wrap, stick it in the fridge. I'll show you what it looks like when we unmold it. All right, so it's been 9 hours since I put this in the refrigerator, so it's chilled all day. And this is a springform pan, so the way that it opens is with a spring. Well, it didn't stick to the sides, so we're in pretty good shape so far. So far, so good. Now, here will be the true test. Let's see if it pops off. Run a little knife all the way around, and then put it on our serving tray. This is the hard part. It's like magic. Thank you so much for watching Will Bake for Food.
Only food for me.